Good afternoon, and great to see so many familiar faces around today. I appreciate the very warm welcome and the introduction. I'm the newly elected Bali Hotels Association chairman, and we're starting this year on a very fresh outlook on what we've done already. So to start today, I would like to invite our panelists to come to the stage. Barry, Cartman, Beatrice, Dr. RL, and of course Vivek. We've got a full panelist today, so all the seats are taken, so I'm going to be standing throughout. Now, it's always an exciting topic when we talk about guests and the personalization of what we do, because around the room, we deal a lot with technology these days. So it's always good to see the eyes and utilize the names that come up with it, and it's a pleasure to have actually met a lot of you asking these very amazing questions before even coming on to the session. So I'm looking forward to, once the QR code gets on there, to have the questions up there. And please feel free to share it with us during the panel. Now, the moderation today is a little bit different on one aspect, because what we try to do is try to engage you a little bit more on topic of the emotion part. Now, when we go through our panel today, we've decided to do a little bit of an overview and a best practice and utilize one or two examples before opening up the floor for the actual Q&A. So that way, engage, see if any of the operational topics that are highlighted, or even the airlines, and of course the HR element resounds with you. So when it resonates, this is going to be one of the key factors that truly relates to what you do in the industry that has impact. Now, just before I begin, I always like to share that from Bali Hotels Association, we started in 2002, and we've climbed up to 168 and ongoing members. But one of the things that always draws us in, and why today's moderation session is so important, is the alluring of guests into each of the properties. So each property has their own way, their own location, their own style of what calls that person to choose their property. But there's often a factor of what brings them back. So to open up today, I would like to ask Barry just to share a little bit on where he is, and he's got a few examples, so stay tuned, and hopefully the ears prick into exactly the topic that you want today. Enjoy our session.
Thank you so much, Sean, and very privileged to be here today and to meet you all here. Just shortly, I'm Barry Doesburg. I'm from the Netherlands. In 2002, I decided to go to Bali for 1 year, and now it's 2024, so that is got a little bit out of hand. I was a GM in Holland, then I came here as an entrepreneur, and I opened a company to do training consulting and helping hotels to increase especially their service levels in, for example, in LHW hotels, with their mystery guest checks, to make them having good scores done, train everybody in the hotel to make sure all the procedures were done well. And later, in 2019, I opened Cross Bali Breakers. So I go back to a GM position here in Bali. Cross Bali Breakers, I think, Cross Hotels and Resorts is maybe some people of you might know about it. My property was in Balangan, and now I'm the general manager of the Royal Punama, which is just out of Sanur, in the east part of Bali, with an individual, privately owned villa resort with 50 villas and suites. So it's a short introduction. What I think is that hospitality is all about personal relationships that we build with our guests. But every guest is different. So we have to tailor our service differently to each type of guest, because they have different individual preferences and special behaviors that we can see. So, for example, if you know James Bond, right? James Bond is also, I think, very famous in Indonesia. how does he like his martini? How does he like his martini? Shaken but not stirred. So that is all. Thank you very much, John. Thank you. That is very specific. If you give Mr. James Bond a stirred cocktail or a stirred martini, he will not be happy. It's the same when you look in our hotels. When you have a restaurant and you serve a coffee to a guest, there are so many types of coffee. So when you see the guest coming for the second day on the breakfast and you can say, would you like to have a cappuccino again with coconut milk? That is very personal. That is remembering the guest preference, but also to use that in the communication with the guests, so they feel like very special normally. The second thing is if you have, like in the housekeeping, is another example. When you have the fruit basket and you see after 2 or 3 days that the housekeeping is cleaning the room, they see only the bananas are taken from the fruit basket and the rest of the fruit is still remaining. How about just put some extra bananas there for that guest, because they seem to like the bananas. And when you do that, guests feel really appreciated. It's all those small things. And another thing that about behaviors. So first was individual preferences, and the second is the special behavior of guests, and what we're looking at to adjust that service. So if you have a guest who likes to have, like let's say, an early bird. I'm working for the Royal Purnama. We have sunrise in front of our resort. So you have the early birds waking up at 6 o'clock to go there and see the sunrise, where others, they stay in bed until 10 o'clock and go for late breakfast. So we see the different behavior of this guest. So what we can do, nobody likes it when somebody rings at your doorbell. Ding dong! And then you have to, in my villas, you have to walk quite some distance to the door and then to open the door. But you might do other things at that time. You may be lying around the pool or whatever you do. So it's never convenient. But you like a clean room. Everybody likes that. So what we can do to combine a clean room and not disturbing them, the F&B team, we make some standards there, an SOP, that they directly contact the housekeeping when the guest comes to the restaurant. So when the guest comes back in their room, the room is cleaned. These are very small details, but you're looking at every guest is different. All right? So what can you do? I'm coming now to my point, actually, that I want to make also. How can you create such a personalized service in your resort? Excellent service where you adjust it to the guest preference and their behavior. That is actually to create a service culture. And I bring a pyramid with me. And actually that is the hierarchy that you can see in a hotel. Traditionally on the top, we have the general manager. And below there, the management team, and etc. And all the way on the bottom, we have the employees, the frontliners. And it's more a kind of directive structure where the GM tells what people have to do. And it's a directive structure. But if we want to flip it around, you see I flip around this pyramid, then the GM is on the bottom. And the management team there and other layers. And on the top here, we have the employees. Because actually the employees are having the most contact with our guests in the operation. And they actually need the support. So this is a supportive direction. We all support the leaders or the people above us. And I think then we can really serve our employees, give them the right equipment, give them the right tools, information, training, so they, and etc. So they are able to do their jobs in such a way that you really can deliver that kind of service. I hope that makes a bit of sense. So I have no PowerPoint, so I just print some triangle. I hope it's helpful. Thank you, Sean.
Right, thank you, Barry. Now, I just to touch on that topic, though, just by a show of hands, who's staying here at the Meridien? Okay. Who is staying in a luxury resort or hotel in the area? Who is staying in their apartment or condo in the area? Who is staying in another hotel that is not the Meridien? Okay. Now, I want to ask what is the experience that you felt? For myself, being at the Meridien, I'm very happy to say that they've over-delivered already in the last 2 days of linking exactly what Barry was saying. So if you're staying at the property, it's not only about the cleaning, has been mentioned, but it's about the attention to detail, the sweetest thing of the name being utilized, or the technology that we heard before being touched on and actually being used in that platform. But the leadership approach of serving is one aspect that is always going to go a lot longer when we have the right passion to ensure that it's happening. And with that being said, Vivek.
So my name is Vivek. I'm the general manager for the JHL Solitaire Gading Serpong. It's a 5-star business hotel. Saying about this one, I will just give you an instance example of the people and the emotions connect with the guest. Normal time, just for example, in the breakfast hours are the busiest hours for a business hotel. Probably if you have a highest inventory hotel, you will be like 250 people coming in for the breakfast from morning 7 till 10. In that time, one of my team member, a lady, she's shown a great example that there was a pregnant lady who was there in the breakfast. She was not able to walk so freely and taking the food from all the buffet items. My server, she immediately approached to the lady, informed everything about the buffet and asked her to sit down calm, and she will brought all the food that she need on the table. That kind of example shows that the empathy and the emotions connect with the guest. Second one, again, is with the empowerment, that how much empowerment we are giving to the people, that they can take a decision, even though onto the rank and file level, even to the FDA level. So Eastin's example, again, like in the business hotel, there was a CEO of certain company, was not feeling well. Next day, he has to fly to Singapore for another meeting, and then he has a whole schedule for the Asia meetings. That FDA was able to take a decision to book to change his tickets and everything on behalf of the management. That was quite a notable expense that I can say. And also coordinate with the secretary of his own company to reschedule all the things for him. That kind of empowerment is given to the rank and file level that can create that kind of experience where the guest will feel that I am being looked after. It's just not like a normal hotel, or probably not like a hotel where everything is being not looked. So these small things matters a lot, where people get emotionally connect with the people, with the service, with the product then. So that's what, the whole service experience is all about then.
Okay, thank you, Vivek. If I can throw one of those questions at you, how can we measure the impact of personalization efforts compared to the added complexities and the resources?
Now, in this measure, like for example, if you say about the measure the impact of the personalization efforts compared to the added complexity and the resources, it is all about, again, there is 2 ways then. Either it should be with the technology, either it should be with the human. However, technology will give you the data, the sources, that what certain kind of things are required to do. But end of the day, again, it's a human. For example, if the housekeeping attendant or the room attendant is well trained, he will or she will understand the pattern of the guest sleeping behavior. The guest slept in the right side or the left side. So they will do the evening service according to that. But it has to be very eye to detail then again. That thing will not give, none of the technology can give you then. So this is again depend and varies with the hotel inventory, with the kind of the hotel, with the kind of the services we have. But end of the day, these all small things can be managed very well then.
Okay, thank you. Petrus, now you join us today from a different angle of the experience, from the airlines, if I understand correctly.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. This is, I think it's going to be afternoon, right? So let me introduce myself. Actually, I'm from Indonesia. Both of you, all of you might be guess that I'm coming from some country, but I'm truly Indonesia here. I love Indonesia. Why? Because hospitality, for me, according to the service straight from the heart. That's why, that's my philosophy of my life. when I was starting my work in airlines industry in Cathay Pacific Airways for more than 9 years, I worked to the airport staff as a leader. That's why most of the things that I've been getting for personalization for the passengers or for the guests in airlines. Because why? In irregularities that we can make some out of the box. Because for the hotels, let me say, for the hotels, when I'm working with the hotels, many hotels start from the 5-star up to the 3-star. They all work like very idle, and there is no something like a challenge for we can explore our personalization to the guests. And for example, I have notes for my experience according to the, like we handle for the cancel flight, for the wide body aircraft, about 500 passengers, that we have to accommodate them to the hotels, and then we have to make the passengers, we know that they will be having more of the complaints, right? Is it right, Sound? Because why? Because this is the irregularities condition. So you have to make them to be calm down and make it them for being nothing happened. But actually, that's the real that they face for the cancel flight. So we have to coordinate with the hotel team that you have to fully taking care to the passengers as your guests in the hotel. So when I'm working both of the industry and the airlines and the hotels, I got a point that when the airline staff over to the hotel staff, that the hotel staff should making them very comfort when they sleep. So they don't want to get up from the sleep and then remember, oh, my flight was canceled. So what I have to do. So, but the hotel staff, you have to keep updating to the guests with the airline staff. Even though that's the extraordinary effort that you have to do, this is the point that the elevating for the guest satisfaction as a personalization, you can over the boarding pass to the passenger when the airline staff already got the arrangement for the next flight. So when they come to the airport, they just proceed to the boarding gate. So they don't have to come to the boarding check-in counter to facing the situation and then the nightmare again. So I think that's going to be as extraordinary from the staff from the hotels and the airlines. And for the specifically, Sean, I just wanted to share the experience when I've been working now in the hotel industry. I've been working as a regional sales and director of sales of marketing for Parset Hotels Group. I work for the wedding couple as well. So in nowadays, most of the hotels wedding sales people or sales team, they come to inquiry and then they just follow internally, right? But now we have to think out of the box. We have to assist for the couple, even though they are going to choose their gown. Even though they are going to choose their, what is the souvenir that I have to put it on my wedding celebration. So you have to do the extra effort. That's why what I'm saying for the service straight from the heart. As Barry or maybe Sean and Vivek said, that the manpower, the human is quite high priority in this case. Because why? We are working with the human, not with the technology. I don't agree with the technology because Indonesian is culture, and then we still make the human touch is a priority in hospitality industry. Whenever you are working in Indonesia, the human touch is still very, very important instead of the technology, even though the high technology used in your hotels. But people need to recognize when you come to your hotels. So they have to get a more service, more smile on the guest face. So I think that's gonna be a very main point to all the hoteliers industry for you to, you cannot skip for the human touch on your hotels, because even though your hotel is a systemizingly or is a very technology high, but you have to remember that manpower still being as the first one in Indonesia. I don't think if you're out of Indonesia. I think that's all. Thank you.
Okay, Petrus, thank you very much. Well, the importance is always going to be about the arrival and the departure experience coming into the country, and especially from an airline perspective, we know when arriving on a good note, it's a lot easier to look after the guest. But anything on a delayed note, it's good that we know about it so that we can tailor the experience there afterwards, so we don't keep them waiting. Now, Petrus, do you mind if I ask you the question of how we can measure the impact of personalization efforts, not only through the complexity, but more so on the next question, which is, now that you've seen both sides, how does the hotel tailor the personalization with the most of the booking decision driven by prices and the social media presence from a sales or marketing perspective?
Okay, thank you. Actually, I couldn't see the screen because my eyes something happened. That's why. Okay, thank you, Sean, for the question. I think social media is not being it's not against our condition right now. Social media, we have together with social media life, because why? Sometimes the influencer, or I mean the key opinion leader right now, they use the platform for the social media to to evolve, or maybe to enhance the hospitality side. Because why? The social media we cannot make as our competitors, right? Because social media, if sometimes in outside your hotels doesn't know about your situation in hotels, like you are very friendly staff, you are having a friendly staff, you are having a good hotels environment. When the guests come, they feel home. So that's gonna be important. We use the social media for, even though they can book from the social media, because why? Social media, I think that's why I say, even though you use your technology in your hotels, but don't forget there are a human inside of the social media. Still, human use the social media, right? So I think the collaboration between social media and the human is quite very strong enough for the hospitality nowadays.
Also a great tool for communication.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. And on communication, Kartun, from Jakarta, if I could allow you to tap into that from a guest journey perspective, because there's a few questions over here that start off with how do you personalize the guest or the customer journey through digitalization? And I know that was part of your guest journey.
Yes.
If you could take us through that, please.
Of course. Lucky when you ask question who's staying where, nobody, you didn't mention Park Hyatt Jakarta, and I hope nobody's staying at Park Hyatt Jakarta. But if so, please let me know. Love to talk with the guests, of course. Okay, good morning, everybody. So I'd like to add on several points in regard to this personalization. Let's not forget that as a hotelier, we tend to focus on the guest journey, is basically on the 3 stages, which is the arrival, the in-stay, and then the departure. However, I went through this Google study, Sean. So Google has basically done a huge study on the data, and they come up with these micro moments. They call it micro moments. So there are 8 stages of this micro moment relating to the guest journey. Let me just read through quickly. The first stage is dreaming. Dreaming is where we start to fantasizing, we still start to thinking where we want to go by seeing another person posting in Instagram, or great photos of a hotel or beach or mountain. And the next step is they started to planning stage, where they start fantasizing, they start thinking, oh, next vacation I'm going to Bali, for instance. And from there we go to select. Select means they start looking. And as Pak Rio earlier mentioned, that most of us, when we try to select a destination, we go through at least how many, Pak? 20 websites perhaps, correct? So that's where it is, and we have to compete inside those websites, which is a messy jungle, yeah, Pak, yeah? Okay. And of course, after that select, then they will shortlist it, and they will make booking. And of course, again, I quote Pak Rio, and I have to agree with him that this is where the opportunity of actually personalization start to kicking in. This is where it is. The add-on, and I think from my point of view, what we do is actually when we receive booking, wherever the resource is, we start to communicating with them. We make their life easy. We try to communicate timely manner as well. Whenever message that they come in, we respond immediately. And I think everybody likes to receive direct response. So we, despite the technology, I think in my hotel, we still have 24 hours guest services that really monitoring this communication, just so we can accommodate any requests coming in from every countries. So that basically it. And then, of course, after that, start booking, they start preparing for the visit. And then, of course, the in-stay experience, we call it the experience stages, where, of course, we start meeting them at the airport, taking them to the hotel, welcoming them with the welcome drink, osibori, I think you name it. And that's where passionate person meets the guest. That's where empowerment kicks in as well, Vivek. So empowerment, what I like to share here is in my hotel, since we are also dealing with employees that are coming in from Gen Z, we don't actually tell them what to do, but we'd rather like as a reception, what would you like to decide? That's what we question. So we come up with a lot of lists actually. They gave us, for instance, like, can I give free upgrade for a guest who's coming in? If I know the guest, if I know his repeater. What else? Can I give discount, for instance, for the spa? If yes, then how big is the discount? Is it 10? Is it 15? Is it 20? Or even 30, for instance? So then we ask again the question, so what do you think? If I give 10, 20, 30% discount to the spa, what will be the consideration? So they start thinking, and I think this worked well. Because to be honest, upselling is also one of the tools that we are using to increase our average rate. I mean, knowing from this morning session where the occupancy, where the business level is in Jakarta, to be honest, is still struggling in this first month of 2024, it actually adds up through upselling. As simple as 1 million or 500,000 per room will really add up to our revenue as well as our RevPAR. So that really helped. And after that experience, of course, guests will check out, and that's when they start sharing with the quickness of fingers through mobile technology. And if they're happy, hopefully they will return. Not 100% sure they will return. Hopefully they will return. For the past 2.5 years, I'm actually working in Bandung, satellite city, open up a local hotel, Gaya Hotel. So this is really an independent local hotel, although we try so much in marketing, digital marketing and all that. To be honest, after 2 years in operating, our return guests based from our database is actually less than 10%. So this is really serious. How can we create a loyal guest? So from my point of view, I just shared earlier with Vivek that luckily in my hotel now, Park Hyatt, Hyatt brand has come up with this World of Hyatt membership, the loyalty membership, where any member can, anybody member of World of Hyatt? Okay, thank you, Agnes. So this is as easy as collecting point in one of the shopping store in Jakarta. If you buy something, you get point. If you spend money in the hotel, you get a point. So for every dollars that you spend in the hotel, you basically earn point, and these points are actually really easy to be redeemed. So if you collect already like 10,000 or 20,000, and you go to any brand of Hyatt that is participating in this program, you can even redeem a free night stay. And this is where the loyalty, as I mentioned to you, start to add up, and I think that's the key message where we want to be successful, is that by having a lot of loyal guests who will become eventually our advocate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, to tap into that, the technology part of what you spoke about, the journey, can you give us a few examples of in which areas or what type can be applied to support the guest?
Personalization. I think from my point of view that what we are applying now, technology can maintain the personalization of the guest. We can store the data in the system. That's one thing. There are guests who have only one or two preferences. There are guests who has page-long preferences, and we need to keep it. As a chain, the beauty of it is that we can share the profile of the guest throughout the other chain hotel as well. So I think that is really impactful for us.
Okay, thank you. I see quite a few people nodding when it was discussed today about keeping things on track, knowing that you got to get to a place where you're comfortable, and it's already been highlighted that these are your preferences, coming in and knowing exactly what is going to be done. But more so the loyalty program of identifying with certain individuals that do remember you, not only from a face value, but they actually do generally look forward to have you back. So that return on investment that is being discussed, there's also a cost to it. But before the cost element is raised, it's people. And all that we talk about is a beautiful product that is given to a guest because that's what they like. But it's the people around the product that actually deliver it on the basis of wanting to know, because they do generally want to care, because it's going to have a certain return. So on that part, I would like to hand over to Dr. RL, who will, as we talked before, inject a little bit of people passion, because that is one of the prime focus on today. It's people serving people, and understanding that, knowing that is taking the extra effort into being proactive. But how do we get to that stage? Can you take us away?
Thank you, Sean. So good afternoon. I'm RL. I am from Manila, Philippines. I am part of the Brittany Hotels and Leisure, which is a large conglomerate group in the Philippines, managing hotels, resorts, and soon an integrated resort and casino. I think the ultimate goal of today's panel discussion is to build an equation that will be taken away by all the participants here on how they can elevate guest satisfaction through personalization. For the past 35 minutes, we've been talking about the half of the equation, which is how the operations can personalize the guest experience that will impact satisfaction. I think Barry and Vivek pointed out the importance of the inverted pyramid, that the top management should support the frontline employees. And then I think Petrus and Kartiman alluded specific examples of how we can personalize this. The second part of the equation, which is equally important, is human capital. I think we don't have to debate that our industry, the greatest asset is not the building, but actually the human capital, the people who are running the business. And we have to go back to that core before we think of these lavish initiatives on how we can personalize the service. So how can we focus on the human capital, which is the true asset of the hospitality industry? I would like to touch on two important aspects of this. Number one, Barry mentioned about the importance of service culture. For the past years of my experience in HR, specifically heading the training and development of conglomerates in the Philippines, I am somehow intrigued because when we talk about service culture, even the top executives sometimes, they are having hard time to define what service culture is. It is a term that we love to use, but the question is, do we really understand what service culture is? Allow me to quickly define what service culture is in a very practical manner. Service culture is all about the sum of daily habits. Again, service culture is about the sum of daily habits. In psychology, habits are formed if you do something more than 30 days and you sustain doing it, just like brushing our teeth. It becomes autopilot in our brain, that even if we don't have energy to brush our teeth, but because it became a habit and we've been practicing that, we just do it autopilot. Going back to service culture, the importance of guest satisfaction, if we want our team members to focus on satisfying our guests, first, we have to define the habits. 7 years ago, when I have joined the largest conglomerate in the Philippines to head the learning and development, number one, they want to institutionalize the service culture. I said, part of our 5 years plan, because according to studies, service culture is not an overnight dream. We have to understand that service culture takes on an average 5 years to settle before you can say that your initiatives are successful. Having said that, the first initiative that I have challenged the top executives is we have to define the habits that we want our team members to practice and exude on a daily basis. So I have facilitated series of focus group discussions. For example, if we want our team members to embrace, say for example, honesty as one of the core values, and we want them to behave honestly, we have to define specifically what honesty means on the ground. My keyword here is we want to make it palpable. We cannot see it, but we can actually touch and even feel it. So we have clearly defined the behaviors of what it takes to be honest. Number one, for example, if there is something that is left behind, we have really identified bullets of specific behaviors for each core value, and then we roll it out to all the team members as part of the service culture. We sustain it, we came up with engagement activities that will reinforce these habits to make it a point that everybody will practice it naturally, impacting the overall guest satisfaction. And again, it's not an overnight dream. When I talk about service culture, 2 years ago, we have published a research about sustainability. I think since yesterday, sustainability is a hot topic. Our study that you can see in the Tourism Journal, we have explored factors that influence the green behavior of our team members, because all hotels right now in the industry would like to be sustainable. But the question is, are the employees part of this equation? What are these factors that influence the green behavior of our team members? Can you guess what is the top one factor? Based on our study? Anybody? Is it about the strategy, the training? It's actually the top management support. According to our study's finding, similar to sustainability and service culture, it should start from the top, and the top should set the strategies right, define what are the behaviors, and make it palpable that even you cannot see them, you can actually feel, to make it more personalized. The second aspect of human capital is the importance of training and development. Going back to what Barry mentioned about the inverted pyramid, the emphasis should be supporting the frontline employees. But we should not forget that we also have to arm our top executives specifically the middle managers with the right amount of trainings. Going back to my experience 7 years ago, when I have plotted the service culture campaign in the next 5 years, I have complemented it with a strategy to launch 2 programs, leadership and management program. The first signature program is, we call it Lead Beyond. Lead Beyond, the target audience are the GMs, top executives, and executive committee. And then the second management program is the Rise Beyond. The participants of this Rise Beyond management training are the middle managers. There is a saying, you cannot pour an empty cup. Most of the time, what is the misconception is, once the strategy is set from the top, you launch it, and then that's it. There is a missing point there. The question is, are the implementers, meaning the managers, the department heads, are they really ready and capable to implement the strategy? And therefore, if we want to really make sure that the equation is complete, meaning the efforts from the operation, and then the human capital, focus on service culture, and invest in your trainings. I am not saying this because I am an HR and training professional, but I just want to reinforce the message that training and development is a crucial element for us to establish the right service culture and increasing accountability. I am talking to the heads of the hospitality industry, I assume. I can see vice presidents, GMs, ExCom. I'm sure one of your frustrations on a daily basis is the strategies that you have set are not happening. And sometimes we feel useless and we feel that the strategies that we have set are not working. Maybe the reason the middle managers are not yet ready. So I would like to leave that challenge as we complete the equation that yes, the operations will set the first part of the equation, but we should never forget that the second part of the equation in elevating the guest satisfaction should focus on optimizing the human capital, establishing service culture, and investing in your training and development. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Dr. Aral. Now, as we come to the close of the panel today, there's a lot of questions that's coming up, but one of the ones that to summarize is, how is the importance of the frontliners and the backliners contributing to the cost factor of actually delivering on this expectation? Could I ask Dr. Aral and Vivek maybe to have a few points on that?
Sir, maybe you can start.
So, talking about the frontliners, these are the first impressions that is being created by the hotel then. And talking about the frontliners, then again there is 2 aspects. There is a technical aspect, there is a human aspect again. So a hotel which can afford the cost, there are a lot of softwares, there are a lot of engines that can manage your experiences. Wherein the frontliners can send the pre-arrival notes, pre-arrival things, where all the hotel employee can be knowing about the guests, about their preferences and everything. However, again with the human thing again. So I can say that, saying an example with the frontliners, I was staying in one of the nicest hotel in New York in just a few months ago, recently opened. I informed them that I'm coming there and I will be in the holiday mood, but my wife, she will have a day lectures in the whole daytime. And she is allergic to nuts. We already input the details and everything that was being received by the hotel. I cannot disclose the hotel name. Unfortunately, we arrived in the hotel, in the welcome amenities, in the eatery part, there was a nuts in the welcome amenities then. I was notifying them that my wife will have a whole day lectures and she will be attending that. But end of the day, what happened is they gave us the interconnected room. Again, with the technical aspect, we have given them the knowledge. We have sound them that we are coming there for this kind of purpose. A human aspect, nobody take cares. So all the things was managed by the frontliners, I would say, because that was the thing that was handled by the reservations, then the front team who receive us, and the team who knows that, okay, what are the choices and everything. End of the what happened is like my experience was not good. So end of the day, it is all about the hotel which can afford the cost, can have everything in the detail before the arrivals. The choices, the time of the arrivals, some kind of a specific requirement, some kind of allergic informations, or some kind of anything that the guests need either on the business travel or on the leisure travels. And the second thing is like the frontliners, if they are not able to communicate properly with the whole team, the whole experience of the guest with the first impression will be jeopardized. So this is why the frontliners are really important. And for me, the technical aspect and the human aspect plays a significant role equally then. So that's for me then.
So to sum it up, the service recovery has a cost to it.
Yes.
So the short term is that when service recovery is in place, what do you do with it? You utilize it as a training tool. You utilize it as a system of creating a better approach on how to fix it without the reprimands in place. So it's good to have a counseling and a coaching system, but what's better to actually fix the problem because it's going to cost you down the line. So a small detail can have a major impact on either upgrade or the costs associated for that recovery period. Okay. Could I ask Dr. Al, you mentioned before about the training and development and how that actually contributes to the return on the investment.
In our industry, we are operating in an equation that if we invest in something, we expect a return. There is one aspect in our operation that is very tricky when it comes to ROI, and I am talking about training and development. Training and development is a very tricky aspect when it comes to ROI because even there are set parameters like the Kirkpatrick model of understanding the ROI of training, there is no such thing as a parameter that will really assess the true impact of training and development. Because the impact of training and development is lifetime. When I joined again the company in the Philippines, one of the executives challenged me during my presentation of my 5-year plan. Because in training and development, we're talking about millions of pesos. So one of the executives raised the question, we are going to spend this X millions of pesos. What if our team members leave and just resign? Don't you think it is a loss revenue? I didn't answer. I answered a question. Okay, I understand your question. But I will answer that with another question. What if they stay and we don't train them? Don't you think they will hold us accountable for the rest of their lives of not training them? It is not because we cannot measure the ROI of training, we will not train our people. I think when it comes to training ROI, we can just only set specific parameters like increased guest satisfaction, improvement of skills, so on and so forth. But do not aspire to assess the overall impact of training because it's impossible, I'm telling you. So what I just want to challenge when it comes to cost related, when it comes to training, is just identify key performance indicators that are relevant to the business so that it will somehow substantiate the investment that you're going to dedicate for training efforts. And finally, just a little trivia, another question was, we have already trained our team members last year. Why train again? In psychology, there is this what we call Ebbinghaus curve. You can research that. Ebbinghaus curve is also known as the forgetting curve. According to this theory, our brain has the tendency to lose the information rapidly. The things that we are talking about now, after an hour, you can only remember 50% of the things that we have talked about. After 24 hours, you can only remember 30%. In the next 2 days, you can even remember just one of the things that we have talked about in this conference. That is Ebbinghaus curve. So how can we mitigate Ebbinghaus curve? Just like you are watering the plants, you have to continuously reinforce the knowledge, the behavior, until such time that it will become habit and the brain will retain the idea. That's how training works, my dear friends. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Dr. Al. Now that comes to the conclusion of this panel's discussion, but to highlight all the questions that have been asked in the session, what we've tried to do is combine what questions have been thrown out in the backdrop, but at the same time, we do have the panel that is available after the session to connect and take it further. One of the aspects what we wanted to close with, and most importantly, is service recovery versus service excellence. And the return on investment can be seen in everything from upselling to revenue when people are confident in knowing exactly what to sell, how to sell it, and what to do with it there afterwards. The biggest return on investment is having the guests return. That's the biggest investment. And with that, on behalf of the Bali Hotels Association, we'd like to say thank you for the opportunity to hear us out and to join us on this journey. And hopefully you've taken a little bit out of it because you've actually experienced it yourself. Have a wonderful session and a wonderful day.
A round of applause for Sean and the panel.